Welp, here we are again. Back for more superhero movies that I haven't seen. Oh, I've seen a bunch of them, but I made a list. There's around 24 of them from the last 20 years that I never got around to seeing. So I thought it would be fun to catch up on the superhero movies I missed, and then make a video series documenting my thoughts. It hasn't been going well. I've watched 5 so far, and they've all been bad. At this point, I'm hoping for one that's at least meh. You know? I'm looking for meh. And today, we're looking at X-Men: The Last Stand. So the third X-Men movie, which I didn't see because it looked bad. Saw the first one in the theater. Thought it was pretty fun. Not a great movie by any stretch, but there was a lot to like about it, I felt. There was a lot to make fun of, but overall I found it a pleasant, worthwhile, entertaining experience. Enough so that when the second movie came out, I went to see it in the theater and thought it was even better. I think the X-Men 2 is pretty darn decent. And so I was excited for more X-Men, because hey, these movies are fun. And then X-Men 3, well, it's not X-Men 3, it's just X-Men The Last Stand, I guess. Came out, and I saw the previews, and I went, oh no, that don't look so good. Then I read the reviews, and I said, oh no, that don't sound so good. So I never got around to watching it. Well, I'm gonna watch it now. I hope it's good. I hope everyone is wrong about X-Men The Last Stand, and it's actually an underappreciated gem of superhero filmdom. That would be nice. I mean, at the very least, again, I'm hoping I come away from this movie. If it's not good, I hope it's at least It's okay. It's fine. That would be a nice change of pace. Because watching 5 bad movies in a row, again, which is not to say there's nothing to like about any of the previous films I've watched, but okay. Let's see what the show description is here. When Professor X clashes with Magneto, the battle lines are drawn for the war to end all wars. Well, that's non-specific. That could be like every single X-Men storyline ever. Professor X and Magneto smack each other over ideological differences. Oh, which X-Men storyline am I describing here? A protagonist is at odds with an antagonist, and they do stuff until a conclusion is reached. Which story am I describing? Wow, really selling me on this particular film, aren't you, Disney Plus? Well, this movie may be bad, but like the last 3, at least it has the decency to be well under 2 hours, so it's bad. So I've now seen a quarter of the films on my superhero movies from the last 20 years I haven't seen list, and they have all been bad. Every single one. Again, not to say that there's nothing to like about any of them, but they are bad movies. This project may have been a mistake. Um, I mean, I still have another 20 movies to go or something like that. So there's plenty of opportunities for a good movie, but I have a finite amount of time on this earth, and I would rather not spend it with bad movies. And X-Men: The Last Stand, unfortunately, is yet another bad movie. Boy, I hate being right all the time. All these movies I didn't see, I think I skipped all of them on... There's probably a couple on the list that I just meant to see, thought looked cool, but just never got around to. But most of them I didn't see deliberately. I purposefully did not watch these movies because they looked bad. So far, they've all been bad. And it makes me unhappy. So... I was heretofore unaware that "I'm the Juggernaut, bitch" is literally a line from a movie. This movie! I'm pointing at my TV, but you can't see it, but you can see the poster that's floating next to me. Juggernaut says that. That's a thing that Juggernaut says. In a movie. Released to theaters. I thought that was just a meme. I knew Juggernaut was in the movie. I didn't know he literally said that line. I figured it was just something people made up to be funny. I hear a car alarm. And it's making me angry. Car alarms make me angry. More angry than bad movies. Because with a bad movie, I don't believe you tried to make a bad movie. As I've said before, making a movie is hard. Making a good movie? Nigh impossible. Car alarms, though? There's no reason for that other than to annoy me. So, I'm the Juggernaut, bitch. I figured that was just a meme thing that people made up to be silly. Like, maybe it encapsulates his character. No, he actually says that. Not as bad as the, do you know what happens to a frog that gets struck by lightning? The same thing. Or a toad that gets struck by lightning? The same thing that happens to everything else. That classic from the first movie. Probably the worst line in film history. Not quite that bad. Not quite on that level, but yeah, it's up there. So, like all the movies I've watched for this series so far, it started out not good, but started out going, this is probably going to be an okay movie. I'm probably going to walk away from this thinking, you know what? It's fine. No. You know what this movie's biggest problem is? In my humble yet inerrant opinion? There is no character development. Now, to be fair, this is the third movie in a series, so it is, understandably and excusably, and rightfully, I would say, building off of relationships that were established in previous films. Fine. Although the last time I saw X-Men 2 was in the theater like 20 years ago, so it's been a while. So I'm like, who's this now? But the biggest there's no character development in this movie like at all. There's just actors standing there. Like, even the actors who are great in the previous films are just kind of stiff in this one because they're given nothing to do. So here's the basic premise of the... I'm probably just going to spoil the whole thing. So if you've not seen 2006's X-Men: The Last Stand and you really, really want to, spoilers from here on out. So the basic premise of the movie is... American scientists have There's a new mutant, a boy of 13, 14 years old, somewhere around there, young teenage boy. His mutant power is to nullify mutant powers. So if you're a mutant and you come within like 15 feet of this kid, your mutant powers, whether they're some type, whether you throw fireballs or whether you have some physical difference like blue fur, like Beast. Great character design. Let's there's things to like about this movie. I loved the Beast costume. I really liked the Juggernaut costume. I thought that stuff played really well. Looked cool. I liked it. Good stuff there. Some of the action scenes were actually fun. I'll get back to what I was talking about in a minute, but let's give some praise here. This does feel like a movie where they just did a movie to do a movie, and they're like, we have these characters, we've got these storyboarded set pieces, but we have no script. That's kind of what it feels like. But they, this Beast flipping around and kicking the crap out of people is visually very cool and a lot of fun. They have a lot of really fun ideas with how to use the various characters' powers in visually interesting and unique ways. So, kudos and plaudits, clappity clap. Alright, back to what I was saying. Basic premise. They've found a mutant whose power is nullifying mutations. So Hank McCoy, a Beast, he walks near this guy and his blue fur all recedes and he turns human. He's like, huh, well, how about that? So they figure out a way to isolate, get his DNA strand and isolate the thing that cancels out the mutant gene. Apparently, the X-Men type of mutations are caused by a specific gene that mutates in a variety of ways, causing some, one mutation causing weird stuff, like angel wings. Yeah, that's not how biology works at all, but whatever, it's comic book. Fine. There's a gene that causes a limitless variety of different effects in different people, and we've found a way to nullify that, to isolate and restrict that gene from manifesting's not the word, from doing whatever it does. And you can say, oh, okay, so here's an interesting wrinkle in the X-Men mythos. Obviously, the government is probably gonna, want to forcibly cure mutants, and the Brotherhood of Mutants are going to be like, eugenics, and Charles Xavier, the X-Men are going to be like, it's my body, my choice, I guess, kind of a thing, and it's like, okay, there's some interesting thing, because the movie starts out with Charles Xavier teaching a class, and he goes, here's Moira McTaggart, who's like in 1 minute of this movie. I remember being in the last one. Then again, not kidding, spoilers. They immediately kill off Scott Summers, and pretty quickly kill off Xavier too. So, a scheduling conflict or really ballsy? Not sure. So he's teaching a class, and he says, okay, so here is a dude who has no brain function. He's perfectly healthy, he lives, but there's nothing cognitive going on upstairs. Now, what would the ethics of transferring a consciousness, if someone had some particularly debilitating disease where they couldn't move or function, or the organs kept failing, what would be the ethics of transferring that consciousness into this body that is otherwise not being used? Interesting. That's never followed up on. I'll get to that. But it starts out saying, oh, okay, so this is going to be a movie talking about the ethics of what it means to be human, and whether differences in being human are a disease or a problem that needs to be cured. And this is where X-Men, not this specific movie, but the IP itself, can sometimes run into problems with its analogy. Because Being, for example, not white or not straight is obviously, inarguably, not a disease and not anything that's broken that needs to be fixed. Obviously. However, some of the mutations as presented in X-Men could be considered that. You know, for a lot of X-Men characters who are, for lack of a better phrase, human passing, they just have neat powers. It's like, yeah, I can fly. I have absolutely no interest in curing my ability to fly. Or my ability to phase through matter, or generate fireballs, or snowballs. But then you have other characters who have physical differences that limit the way they can interact with society. Either because the way the rest of society will treat them for how different they look, or simply because they have a physical difference that society is not accommodating to. Like, maybe, this is an example from the movie, but if I was a mutant and my mutation was just giant damn feet, just really big feet. Like, my feet are like 4 feet wide and long. Just humongous feet. I can't get shoes. I can barely walk. In fact, I can't walk because my feet are too damn heavy and I don't have the body strength to pull the feet up. And if I had the ability to have a foot reduction or isolate the gene that causes me to have jumbo feet, I might go for that. So, kind of a difference. It's like, well, this person has the ability to fly. This person is a rock and can't move. Not exactly the same thing, right? So the analogy they're going for can often break down. Rogue is a good example. Her mutant power is, I can't touch anybody, or I'll kill them. And for a horny teenager, well, that kind of sucks. I mean, doesn't even have to be a sexual thing. Can't shake anyone's hand. Can't hug them. Can't, cannot physically interact with anyone. Have to be, hell, even not a physical intimacy thing. Probably can't ride the subway unless you accidentally get jostled against someone and, kill them. So you could understand why someone like Rogue might want to get that poorly named cure. One way to look at it is like cosmetic surgery. Let's say that your teeth have spaces, or you have an overbite, or they're crooked. You can eat just fine. You can speak just fine. You can breathe just fine. But maybe you just want straight teeth. You're not broken. You're not diseased. There's nothing wrong with you. And you may be perfectly happy with the way your teeth are. Or you may not be, and you may want to straighten your teeth. Nothing wrong with that. So you get into kind of a weird argument in a place in this film where Rogue and Aurora Storm are talking about this so-called cure. And Rogue is like, I would really like to hold hands with people and smooch my boyfriend. And Storm's like, no, there's no cure because there's nothing wrong with you, and la 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 la. And it's like, yeah, but I kill people if I touch them? That's something I would rather not have, honestly. It's like, you just control the weather. And it's not even like a Peppa from Encanto thing where your emotions, which you really can't control, affect the weather. No, you consciously affect the weather when you choose to. I don't kill people with a touch by choice. This is not something I control. I just kill people I touch. That's something I would rather not happen. For example, me personally, if I could isolate my anger gene and suppress that, I probably would. I would like to be less angry all the time. That would be nice. And it's really weird for They probably I forget exactly what the line is. They probably should have given it to someone who is not Aurora. You know, because I forget exactly what she says, but she's like, she's arguing against about, you know, how society can treat other people who they perceive as different. And it's kind of weird coming from a person of color. It's like, I mean, surely you would have a better understanding than some white dipshit about how that might affect an outgroup, right? I mean, you would have even more perspective. It's weird that you have less perspective on this than me. You know, it's weird. It's just not well written. So Jean Grey comes back because they just wanted to do Phoenix, and you might be thinking, oh, okay. Well, I thought I was understanding where they were going with the story. So we're going to fight over the little kid who is the source of the so-called cure, right? The government wants to weaponize the cure and shoot it at mutants. Okay. And the Brotherhood wants to, you know, kill the source of the cure so that they can't do that. And the X-Men want to stop the mutants and, you know, broker peace and all that. Oh, okay. Where does the Dark Phoenix fit in? She doesn't. At all. At all. She literally has nothing to do in this story. It's actually a different version of Dark Phoenix. Dark Phoenix is usually an entity that possesses Jean Grey. This is apparently just an element of Jean Grey's mind that Professor Xavier put psychic locks around. Apparently, maybe she's something like me, a very angry person just with phenomenal destructive powers. So he fussed around in her mind to isolate that without asking her. And here's a guy who's teaching ethics. To be fair, he does get called out on that by Logan, but I don't have to explain myself to you. Then Jean Grey disintegrates him in kind of a dumb action scene. Magneto and Professor Xavier go home to confront Dark Phoenix, who went to her home. And Magneto's like, okay, Juggernaut and other people, don't let anybody in the house. And so Wolverine runs up on Juggernaut, and Juggernaut grabs him and throws him into the house. You had one job, Juggernaut! One job! Whatever. That's not what makes the movie bad. I thought that was kind of funny. So Bobby, Iceman, and Rogue are a couple, but Bobby seems to be very friendly with Kitty Pryde, and Rogue doesn't like that, and she thinks the fact that, you know, they can't touch each other is probably why he's getting so handsy with Kitty. Kitty! Every time Kitty Pryde comes up on the screen, I'm like, Kitty! Because I'm like that. Colossus is there. Has nothing to do. There's just no character development at all. There's a lot of characters who are there, but they have no arcs. It's the weirdest thing. Rarely do you ever see a movie with literally zero character development. It's weird. Xavier, knocks over the convoy that's transferring mutant prisoners, and he lets them all out. He's like, join my mutant army and we're going to go kill a kid. And all of them are like, all right. Wasn't doing anything better. Didn't have anything else to do. Okay. Also, I'm not really sure who to root for in this movie because everyone sucks. Like, you have the government who discovered the mutant cure and immediately weaponized it, which is something that the Beast, who's the Secretary of Mutant Rights or something like that, it cuts to a scene where he's after the attack on the convoy, where Magneto frees Mystique and Juggernaut and some guy who can duplicate himself several times. Finds out that they have a gun that shoots the cure bullets. They turned the cure bullets into a gun. And it's the very next scene is, oh, you've weaponized the cure. I'm quitting. I'm like, oh, okay, sure. Feels like that could have used some more setup, but there's a thing about Angel, the guy with the wings. You know, his father is like the lead developer on the cure thing. He's like, my son's going to be the first person to take the cure. And his mutant power is, I have wings. That's it. He's just got wings. Makes it difficult to find a shirt that fits, but he can also fly. So he's like, Dad, I don't really want to do this. And he's like, no, it'll be fine. We talked about this. Did you really? And he breaks out and expands his wings. And then he jumps out a window and flies away. I mean, he could have used the door, but, jumped through plate glass. That's fine. Hopefully you didn't, lacerate your wings. But yeah, I mean, dude, if I had wings and I could... again, that probably makes shopping for shirts and stuff a pain in the butt, but, I can fly. No, I don't want to cure my ability to fly. This is pretty awesome, thanks. So, you have the government who weaponizes the cure. You have the Brotherhood of the Mutants, who their plan is literally to kill anyone that gets in their way on their way to go kill a child, because he can be used to make a cure for mutantnessism. Okay, so bad guys. Well, what about Charles Xavier? Well, Charles Xavier is, incredibly unethical. And all the X-Men just kind of stand around just not doing much for most of the movie, even after Xavier dies. They're like, I guess we should shut the school down. And then Angel walks in his second of, I think, 3 scenes in the movie. He's like, hey, I heard this was a school, a safe space for mutants. And they're like, it was. It is. The school's still open. I'm like, oh, I'm glad we resolved that in a scene. I guess everyone can move back into their rooms now if they didn't move. And then Rogue is like, I'm going to go take the cure. And then she's out of the movie. She comes back later and she took the cure. Apparently only so that she could make sure that Bobby pays less attention to Kitty and more attention to her, which is... She says she did it for her, but... And she, I don't know, it comes off kind of weird. It's like, I'm doing these incredible life changes for a boy, and Wolverine says, "Hey, you do you for you," and she's like, "I'm gonna do me for me," and then she tells Bobby, "I did me for me. Now let's snog." I'm like, it seems like you kind of did it for him, but I don't know, just didn't work. Came off weird. The whole thing with him and Kitty, that's never resolved, doesn't go anywhere. Hey, they do the fastball special in this movie. They do it twice. They do it once at the beginning and once at the end. And the second time they do it, it's presented like it's a payoff to something, but it isn't. They just do it a second time. Did they screw it up the first time they tried it and they finally got it together and did it right? No, they did it fine the first time. They're just doing it again, but it's presented like it's a payoff to something. So yeah, I don't know who to root for in this movie. You've got genociders, you've got murderers, and then you've got people completely lacking in ethics. Where does the Phoenix fit in? She just stands there. I'm not kidding. She stands there throughout. After she kills, Scott finds her, and then she kills him for some reason. And then they take her back home, and Charles Xavier's trying to futz with her mind again. And then she gets up and leaves, and then she goes home, and then there's the encounter with Eric and Charles, and then she blows up Charles, and then leaves with Magneto for some reason. What is Dark Phoenix's goal? Or Phoenix, what does she want? Who knows? Because she doesn't really she just kind of hangs out. So he's in the forest, so Magneto's in the forest with all of his minions. We're gonna kill this child and kill anyone who gets in our way. Mwaha! And everyone's yay, and Phoenix is just standing there. Because we've got a weapon! It's like, but why is she... Does she... I guess she just had nothing in her calendar, just nothing better to do. So they... The facility where the kid that they're trying to kill is on Rikers Island or something. So they go over there, and they storm the castle, and Phoenix just stands there the entire time. She's completely useless. They have a whole big fight. You know, the Brotherhood of the Mutants against the army that's there who are using plastic guns that shoot the cure bullets. And there's a big fight there, and the Brotherhood of the Mutants win. And then the X-Men show up in their X-Wing. It's not an X-Wing. It's the their vehicle, the Thunderbird, the X-Plane, whatever the hell it's called. And then they fight, and then they win. And Phoenix is still standing there. She had absolutely nothing to do. What even was Eric's plan? I guess she was backup? Didn't seem to need her. She has absolutely no role in the movie. But she's standing there, so the cops show up and start shooting, even though everything's over. Believable, I guess. And so she starts disintegrating everybody around. Literally just deconstructing everyone and everything on the molecular level. You know, kind of like, snapping them, to use the MCU parlance. And Wolverine is walking up to... another thing that doesn't work... I talked about how Eric Magneto is just a homicidal maniac. Usually, what makes Magneto great is he's going about things the wrong way, but you can kind of see his point. Hard line to straddle, I suppose, but boy, they just fall over on one side and keep running because he's just a murderous maniac. During his attack on the mutant prisoner convoy, which he just murders people all over the place, and he's letting people out, Mystique takes a cure bullet for him and turns back into a human. And he looks at her with abject disgust and leaves her there. Okay, well, screw this guy. And he says, I kid you not, the line is something like, it's such a shame. She was so pretty. And I think what they were going for is he's talking about the beauty of the next step of human evolution, which, again, that's not how biology works, but whatever. But now that she's just a human, she's not pretty anymore. It's like, oh, so women are only worth their aesthetic attractiveness? Not what they're trying to say, but it's kind of how it comes off. It's really gross. And also just, it's like, wow, you guys have been through a bunch together. And she takes a bullet for you, and you're just casting her aside? Wow. All right, well... Not rooting for this team. Wasn't rooting for him in the first place, but definitely not rooting for him now. So, anyway, Wolverine is charging Phoenix. And she can't quite molecularly disassemble him because he heals too fast. So, he's running, he's trying to get at her, and then the shockwave hits him, and his clothes tear off, and his skin tears off, but his skin reforms because he has that healing factor. I thought they could have done more with, pulling his flesh off and exposing the metal endoscope. Maybe it's a ratings thing, or maybe it's an effects thing. I mean, it's enough to get the point across. It's a really cool idea, but what's funny is, I was watching this, I'm like, why is his pants not disintegrating? Come on. Hugh Jackman will show his butt. I know he will. Let's see some buns here. Don't be prudish. I want to see them pants disintegrate. We got to see Rebecca Remain Stamos' buns, her blue buns, and her flesh-colored buns. She was laying there all naked. But we're not going to get to see naked Hugh Jackman? prudes. And then he does what he must do. And I thought he was just going to, like, stab her in the head, destroy the brain, like a zombie kind of thing. No, he stabs her in the gut, and she instantly dies. I don't know. I figured the Phoenix probably could have taken a stab to the gut or 3. Or 6. I don't know if he double-fisted it, but I thought he was going to maybe, again, that's a ratings thing. I'm like, oh, that... Wow, I guess a stray bullet could have possibly taken her out. So, the post-credits scene... Oh, Magneto gets hit with a cure dart, so he no longer has powers. Or does he? Because there's an end-credit scene where he moves a chess piece without touching it. Is the chess piece made of metal? Okay, doesn't looks like a plastic chess piece to me, but I don't know. Very end credits, post-credits scene is Mariah McTaggart is working on the patient who has no cognitive function, and the guy sits up and says, "Hi," and she goes, "Oh my God, Charles." So Charles didn't die. He answered that ethical question. He just transferred his consciousness into the next available body. So I guess that answers that. We weren't going to have a discussion on the ethics of that. No, it's fine. So it's a movie that has a solid core of a basic premise. I like the idea of we have a mutant that nullifies mutant powers. So we've created a way to isolate and suppress the mutant gene as an option for any mutants who want it. That's an interesting thing, because you're going to have sides that are like, no, we don't need it, but I'm in literal pain all the time. My guts are gravel. I'm a rock person. It hurts. I would really like the cure. I can't touch people without killing them. I'm a slime person, and I leave a slime trail. I'm a big furry blue dude. I don't mind being big and blue and having great agility and strength and stuff, but I shed all over the couch. My house is covered in blue fur. Do you know how long it takes me to shampoo? There could be some really interesting things. And, of course, the kid at the center would be in danger from many sides. There's a lot of really cool dramatic stuff you could mine out of this if you actually wrote a script. Which I'm not convinced they did. I think they had a premise and characters and storyboarded action sequences, and then just threw everything together without really coming up with story or character stuff. The important stuff. But I still thought some of the way they visualized some of the powers was really cool. Some of the action set pieces were pretty neat. The way they had some of the characters use their powers was inventive and visually interesting. Again, I really liked the costumes for Juggernaut and Beast. I thought those looked really nice on film. But that's it. This was a bad movie. We're batting 0 so far. And there's still about 20 movies to go.